Good morning, brothers and sisters.
Morning.
Well, we've reached a new season in the ecclesiastical year. The colors have changed. Now we've got some nice tidy green for the next few weeks. And as we move from the process of manifestation, which we talked about in Christmas, in Advent we talked about expectation, about preparation inside of yourself towards manifesting. During Christmas we talked about manifestation, how manifestation starts as a thought in your mind, how it goes through your heart, how it starts as something small and how you grow it big. To use my phrase last week, from fermenting the wine of the Spirit while simultaneously preparing the chalice of matter, that one may be poured into the other. Another metaphor is that of rain falling on a garden. Rain falls on the garden that the garden may grow. Yet as we move from expectation, as we move from manifestation, we now move to development. We move to development, we move to conditioning, and we move to something a lot of people really want to know about when they hear about magic and esotericism and all that fun stuff. How do I develop my gifts? How do I develop my gifts? What kind of gifts do I have? How do I use them? That's the cycle for the next few weeks. That's what I'll be talking about. So I'm going to jump right into this. Jumping right into this, the moment you hear psychic gifts or spiritual gifts, a lot of people want to get up there and say, that's evil, that's from Satan, you can't do that. I'm going to tell you right now, that's a complete and total crock. Why is that a complete and total crock? Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Satan didn't create the heavens and the earth. God created the heavens and the earth and everything therein. God created human beings. God created all the gifts that human beings have. As one prayer in the Episcopalian Church puts it, you endowed humankind with reason, memory, and skill. That prayer also talks about stars and galaxies, and I kind of like it for that reason. So, we also have John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word. And in that process, which we read this at the end of every service, so we should know this by now. Through the Word, through the Logos, everything that has been made. So no, psychic gifts are not something that comes from the devil. Psychic gifts are not evil. Psychic gifts were created by God and given to us by God. The only thing evil or good about it, for that matter, is the use to which we put these gifts. Now we've put this to rest, let's talk about what kind of gifts do we have? How do we discern what we have? I'd like to say that's pretty easy, but it may not be easy for everyone. I'd like to say it's easy, though, in the sense that, have you ever had things that you just know? Have you ever had just things that you just see, and those things turn out to be true? Have you heard things that turn out to be true, like clairaudience, where you hear something, and what you're hearing turns out to be true? Have you ever just had those types of experiences? Those types of experiences will help to lead you towards your gift. Help you discern what your gift is. Now, case in point, I tend to be clairsentient. I can feel things. I can feel things when I'm working on something. I tend to feel in terms of colors. Like, I don't feel emotions so much as I can feel red. I can feel green. I can feel purple. It's really difficult to explain in words. Right. You might have that. You might want to develop something else. And these are the things we're going to talk about. I'm not going to tell you how to read minds or anything like that because, quite honestly, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not going to tell you something I can't do. But what I'm going to tell you is the ways to develop your own psychic gifts and your own psychic abilities. There are a few of them. The first, and this is how my parents taught me, particularly my mother and actually both my parents, but my father was more public with it. My mother was more private with her gifts. The way I was taught started with meditation. Okay, meditation in a sense of just have a seat, relax, breathe in, breathe out, clear your mind. And just work on relaxation and clearing your mind. Try to work for 15 minutes a day. When you're starting out, you won't necessarily make that 15 when you start out. You may only make 5 or 6 minutes. You may only last for like 1 or 2. Keep at it. Keep plugging at it. Be the drop of water that eventually works its way through the stone. With each drop, the stone that's blocking you will erode. And eventually you will break through. Be the drop of water. Drip, drip, drip. Now what that will do, actually I'm going to backtrack that, what that will do through meditation, you're not actively working to develop a gift. What you are doing is you're passively teaching yourself how to listen. You're teaching yourself to be passive, you're teaching yourself to listen, you're teaching yourself to open up. That's what meditation starts us with. There are various meditation techniques, there are various visualizations to use in meditation. And one that I tend to recommend for beginners is the meditation on the Divine Presence, which is the meditation I use as a standard during the meditative part of our services here. Now, alongside meditation, there are other more active ways to do this. I was actually at a psychic fair at Mountaintop yesterday, and I met one of the readers. I'd never met her before, and she was talking to me about how she told somebody to take a deck of playing cards, regular playing cards, not tarot, nothing decorative, nothing like that, just regular, and you turn them face down, and you try to guess the color before you turn it around. It's a binary, it's red or black. You're not looking at numbers, you're not looking at suits, just the color. Now, what happens with this is, okay, now you may get them all wrong your first time. You may get them all wrong, you might get a few right and most of them wrong. But what ends up happening is, eventually, as you keep at it, just keep at it day by day by day, you're going to find that your number of right guesses, it gets better and better and better. And not because you memorize a sequence, because you want to shuffle the cards first. Shuffle them up, get them all nice and randomized. And you'll find yourself getting better and better and better, and you'll find yourself able to apply this in other situations as well. It's all a matter of, again, training yourself to be open, to be passive, and be receptive. Not thinking about what you're going to say next, not thinking about what you're going to do next, but just be still, be quiet, and be nothing while the something reveals itself to you. There are other methods. Now some people will probably get on me because this is outside the realm of orthodox, traditional theological Christianity. But one method I kind of like, it's called the tattva symbols. Okay, what you do with the tattva, now, as written, which is basically, it's a syncretism of Hindu symbolism and Western occultism. As written, you take 5 symbols, but usually you hear people talk about 4, representing the 4 elements. Okay, and what you do is, you look at the symbol, the red triangle for fire, the silver crescent for water, the yellow rectangle for earth, and the blue circle for air. You look at it, you stare at the symbol, and then after about 30 seconds to a minute, you then take your gaze off the symbol, put it on a white card. What this is called the color after image effect. The after image being that once you've looked at something of a color for so long, when it's removed, the neurons in your brain, they automatically see the opposite color. It's like a photonegative. So you do that, then turn off the lights, close your eyes, and see that opposite color image in front of you as like a door. Use as a door, and you walk through the door, and you basically see what's inside that element. Now, I'm not going to knock it because it works. Experience tells me it works. I did this for a few weeks, and I started developing clairvoyance. So there is something to it. What I will say is, if you're uncomfortable with the elemental associations, it is possible to make other associations along with it. You could do, one suggestion would be scenes from the life of Christ. You could take, like, the mysteries of the Rosary, would be my personal favorite. You could take that. You could do Stations of the Cross. You could take scenes from the life of Christ. You could take scenes from the lives of the saints. Just make sure that you do these scenes in simple shapes and simple colors. Because the more complicated the picture you have, the more difficult it's going to be for you to visualize it and use it as a door. But you could take that and you could use it as a door and actually go into the scene itself. Go into the scene, talk to the figures that are in the scene. You could talk to John the Baptist as he's baptizing people. Talk to Simon the Cyrene as he's carrying Jesus' cross. Talk to Mary when she's at the feast at the wedding in Cana of Galilee. When Jesus says, "What is it to me, woman?" Talk to her. Talk to her. Ask her what her feelings are, hearing her son talk to her like that. And what happens through this is you'll start to be able to see things. You'll start to develop clairvoyance. And when you're done with this exercise, always use the symbol as a door to come back. If you don't use the symbol as a door to come back, what happens is you can end up with uncontrolled visions. You can end up with side effects. So you keep the separation between the physical and what's called the astral. That's what the symbol does. So when you do that, it takes a few weeks. It usually takes, let's see, for me it took 3 weeks. Okay, so it could take 3 weeks. For some it might take more, for some it might take less. But it'll take a few weeks. But as you circle through these symbols, you'll find yourself being able to see things. You'll actually find your limits being stretched and opened up. So a combination between, at this point, working to make yourself passive, and then working to where you can start developing your psychic sight. That combination will help get you to where you want to go with the ability to see things and to learn things on demand. Because ultimately that's what you want to do, is learn on demand. Now, what are some of the other things we can do? Okay, other things we can do. Actually, no, I'm going to stop here right now. There are other things we can do, but I want to stop here right now because I just gave you exercises that'll keep you busy for quite some time. Where that'll keep you busy for at least a month or two. So while you're doing that, and if anybody wants to talk to me about specific techniques, by all means, you know I'm open, you know I'm available, you know where my inbox is. Some of you know my phone number. Sit down, have a chat with me. We can do that. Now, another thing to keep in mind when we're working on developing these abilities, how should we use them? Now, I think everybody here is a grown-up. Everybody here knows basic ethics. You're not trying to invade other people's lives. You're not trying to gain other people's secrets to get an unfair advantage. You're not trying to do anything like that. You're using this. You are using it to help yourself. You are using it to help others. But ultimately speaking, if you call yourself a Christian, you want to use these abilities for the glory of God. That means following the teachings that are laid down in the New Testament. That means following the ethical standards that we all learned as children. That basically means being authentically who we are, while at the same time allowing other people to be authentically who they are. Probably the best way I can think of to describe the moral compass that we're called to have. Now, what else can we do in order to help supplement this? There are other exercises we can do to help supplement this, and these are exercises that I would classify them under building up the body of light. Okay, the body of light, in fact, last week you may have heard Todd talk about this after services. The body of light is it's something that some writers like Raphael, he referred to the body of light as something that you make out of your own spirit. I'll say lower spiritual substance or astral substance. It's something that you make out of that. You can use it as a vehicle in order to go. You can use it as a vehicle. You can use it as a watcher. It also helps you. It helps you with the generation of energy and helps you with the direction and control of energy. So that's something else when developing your psychic abilities. It really is a good idea to work on developing your body of light because it develops your strength. And then I don't want to say it develops your viewing capabilities, but I do want to say it helps develop your capability, it helps develop your strength, it helps your ability to do extended work. There are a lot of techniques for doing this. One technique is the meditation on divine presence, which is a form of meditation, a form of spiritual communion. That certainly helps. Another technique, there's one known as the middle pillar amongst the esoteric communities that helps to build this. I personally prefer a variant of that that's called the rousing of the citadels. Reason being because it's more thorough, it tends to be more comprehensive, and you're not leaving out entire parts. Like you're not going straight from forehead to throat. You're not from the top of your head to throat. You've actually got your forehead as well. The Uncha Cheli, or the ounce of heaven. So That's a technique that I have described on my blog. When I post the recording on YouTube this evening, I'm going to put a link in the description. In fact, I'm going to put a link to a few things in the description. That way, everything I'm talking about, you will have in front of you, and you will be able to work with. You'll be able to use. So these are the really basic, really beginning techniques that I would throw at you for developing your gifts. They're the really basic techniques I would throw at you for discerning your gifts. And they're the really basic techniques that I would throw at you for learning to begin how to use your gifts. Because the important thing, we talked about this in today's epistle, where Paul says, everybody has a different gift from everybody else. Use your gifts accordingly. Use your gifts wisely. Use your gifts well. If we are not developing our gifts, how can we use them? And if we are not using our gifts, then how can we fulfill the injunction of Scripture to use our gifts well? We can't. So, I encourage everybody to work on our gifts and to use our gifts, to use them for the greatest good possible and to use them for the glory of God. And may the peace of the same God, which passeth all understanding, keep our hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost.
Amen.